surprise that investing in equipment, marketing tools, and employees is essential for a thriving tree care business. But what about investing in business software systems? What boxes need to be checked here? How can business software accelerate your organization's abilities? We've got these answers for you and more. Welcome to 10 out of 10, brought to you by Tree Care Marketing Solutions, where we explore tree care business insights with leading experts in 10 minutes or less. Joining us today is Mike Triplett. He has been working in the industry for over 8 years. He also has 22 years of consultative sales experience. Mike, great to have you here. So nice to welcome you to the show.
Yes, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So we hear a lot about business software systems like ServSuite, Arborgold, and SingleOps, but let's first get to the baseline. What exactly are these? What do these type of systems do?
Yeah, so our platform ServSuite is an all-in-one enterprise business solution. It can essentially run and manage all aspects of their business, everything from managing the sales activity as well as production, but also invoicing, all kinds of accounts receivable functionality. We're very strong with reporting. A lot of business owners seek out more robust software so they can have better data analytics to make business decisions. And having reporting is a huge aspect of that. So in a nutshell, it runs all aspects of their business and creates efficiency, accuracy, and automation.
How does a tree care service business know when they're ready to move up to something?
Great question. Usually it's when they realize that their business is growing to a point where if they're relying on a paper system, it's hard to keep track of things. They're misplacing work orders or whatever the case may be and missing out on jobs that they've sold or not following up on estimates that they could have closed, or they're relying on too many singular function software solutions. A lot of times we find folks that are trying to use a variety of different softwares and it creates redundancy or duplicate entry. Their overall operational workflow is not working efficiently.
Speaking of these pain points, are there any specific pain points that should make them start looking for an alternative solution?
Well, we come across a lot of different pain points. Like I said earlier, usually they'll find that their current processes are not efficient. It's creating more data work or communication work than a software that could streamline that can do. Several other pain points is maybe they're already on a software that maybe as they've experienced growth in their company, they've essentially outgrown the limits of that software. So they need something that has more functionality, more advanced reporting or routing, scheduling, billing options. So whenever a business identifies a part or all of their process that is inefficient, that's when they tend to start looking at products like ServSuite, and we show them how we can streamline those processes and make things easier for them.
So a company decides to invest in a business software system. What should they be looking out for when choosing a platform? How can they decide which one is right for them?
Yeah, good question. The first thing I would say is they need to find a software that fits most of their business needs in terms of their day-to-day process and workflows and gets them from point A to point B under one roof. Now, having said that, because everybody runs their business a little differently, they have different procedures, whether it's customer interaction, scheduling, how they manage the sales process, all these different aspects. There probably truly isn't commonly a software that's going to typically meet 100% of a company's workflow needs. So the first thing I would tell you is try to find the software that checks off all the boxes, that has all the must-haves that you need your software to do for you and marry up with your business workflow, and hope that remaining 5, 10, or 20% that it doesn't handle is just a nice to have as opposed to a need to have. Something that's often overlooked because you're usually dealing with, like we talked about a second ago, pain points. They want to solve these pain points that's really impacting either their bottom line or their workflow or ability to grow. So they want to find that pain point, but don't forget that especially if you have a growth plan and you're expecting to be a larger firm in the future than you are now, to find a product that can scale with the growth of your business, however you want that to be. Look at features and functions that may not necessarily be a need today, but if you were to double in size or whatever that growth plan is, it has functionality and scalability so that you don't outgrow your platform.
What does the migration and onboarding process typically look like? How long does it take?
We get that question a lot, and it's nearly an impossible question to answer. Obviously it depends on time of year.
Yep.
What's interesting is our busy season is usually when tree companies slow down a little bit. There is no, super slow business, but usually companies that we find that are doing plant healthcare services, that tends to slow down in the regions of the country where it's colder and whatnot. So it really depends on the time of the year and the size of the company. But what does migration look like? Well, our process, because the company's been around for over 30 years or close to 30 years. The first thing we do, typically, if there's a data conversion involved, if you're coming from one software, even if it's simply QuickBooks or something else, is we're going to work with you to convert that into ServSuite. Part of our onboarding includes personalized trainings and consultation sessions where we help you set up the system to where it's got your business language and workflow needs. But then we train the staff and everyone on how to do their day-to-day functions. So the reason we do the conversion first is kind of twofold. One, if there's any errors in that conversion, which is kind of normal, but also as important is you're going to be training on data you're familiar with. So you can learn what it looked like in the old system and now what it looks like here. The learning curve is sped up. So we put companies through that process. They can expect several sessions. We really kind of customize and tailor those onboarding package based on company size and the overall features they're going to start out using. So it's really tailored to each company's needs. It can range anywhere from 45 days to 3 or 4 months on average from the time you get started to the time you go live. And we do a final conversion at the end to get all that data that was entered, new customers, payments, you name it, uploaded and make corrections. And then that way the switch is almost overnight in most cases once you get through that process.
As we conclude this conversation, anything else a company should know?
I would say the first and foremost thing is because, most companies have folks, doing administrative/management duties, folks that are handling the calls from the customers, doing the scheduling, doing the billing and all that. And then you have your field employees, whether they're arborists out doing sales appointments or your, production leaders or crew leaders out doing the work. The number one thing that I think would be helpful for a smooth transition, that are going to have, as we say, face in the system, folks that are going to be actively using the system, be a part of the sales demo process. Their input on the system should be very valuable, because those are the ones that are ultimately going to be running aspects of the system. But when it comes go time and it's time to make that switch, we have historically seen that those folks that are involved, that are ultimately going to be using those systems, if they're involved in the sales process, you have more buy-in and it makes that onboarding and transition a much more positive experience. We also want to make sure that we can do the things that you like about your current system or process. So you want to make sure it's a net gain of process improvements for you. So those would be some of the things that I would throw out there as things to consider when you're starting that search.
Absolutely. So I'm sure people are going to have questions for you and going to want to reach out. What's the best way for our audience to get in touch with you, Mike?
The easiest way is to simply go to our website, servicepro.com. There's an online form that you can fill out there. If you want more information, someone on the sales department will reach out, or you can also contact our sales line, which is also available on the website, 614-874-4300. And of course, you can always contact me at my email if you prefer. It's mtriplett at servicetitan.com. Yeah.
Thanks everyone for joining this episode and learning about how business software can help take your tree care company to the next level. You can also find details from the shows on the TCMS website at treecaremarketingsolutions.com/10-business software and other episodes of 10 out of 10. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.